S3 Skulpin. What you're going to see with this fly, if you're familiar with the version that you can buy out of the stores, it's a hell of a lot different. So big, wide profile to it, much heavier than what you find at your local store, carrying the same name. You know, being a fly tyer is definitely an advantage, and you can tie the flies the way that they're supposed to be tied. There's options here. They're endless. You can get olive, browns, tans, peach colored, anything. Looks like a Skulpin, looks like a baby bullhead, looks like a Mad Tom, looks like a whole bunch of different things. So thread base, let's throw down some eyes. You know, I don't really, I've definitely have tied them with extra large eyes in the front. They tend to hang a little bit more with those giant eyes. The difference between a size large and a size extra large is significant. Let's throw some orange eyes in this guy. You can do orange, red, yellow, whatever you have, doesn't really matter. It's all going to be kind of covered up with a lot of hair. Figure 8 up on that. Do the same thing with the bead. I like to give myself a little bit of room to work with there, so I can tie some, use that space to lock some material in. Get that locked up on there. Cool. All right. While that's sitting, this is where you're going to take your brush bowl, give that a little wipe. All right. Same thing. I'm going to throw some flash off the back. So let's grab that Flashabou Splash, or Speckled rather. But they're called Speckled, not Splash. I always say Splash. Alright. And there's going to lock that in. I like to kind of come up on that bend a little bit on this one. Give yourself some room to tie in. Again, flash, you can take it away, but you can't put it on after it's tied. So get your flash in there. At this point, I'm reaching for some sort of barred rabbit. This happens to be black barred olive. There's black barred ginger, brown, rust, you name it. It's on the wall right now. Got a ton of materials in. Just kind of come in here and get yourself a chunk of strip. You're going to come in and you're actually going to poke the hook through the leather here. Alright, you gotta take the vise, hook out of the vise for a second, put it back in, and you're gonna use this piece as part of the back of the Skulpin. So strap that in right at your tying point. Get your fingers wet. I'm gonna get that out of the way. Strapping that in. Like so. Usually 3 or 4 wraps will do it. And I kind of just pull it back and give me some wraps up against it. And lift that up. Okay? And that's out of the way. And then when I first started doing this, it was like, I got to keep this thing light. So instead of using more rabbit and just simply wrapping rabbit through it, what I did was I took some Schlappen. So I'm just going to grab, you know, this could take 4 or 5 pieces. I'm just going to grab like 3. It depends on how the quality of what you got and how long it is. Cut that off, and all you're going to do is just tie this in like so by the tips, and you're going to take it all the way up as far as you can go, just like you're doing a changer. Just every step of the way, just kind of pull those feathers back. Definitely won't wrap as pretty as hen saddles, but they will wrap. I didn't get all the way up there with 3, so I'm going to put a couple more in there. The bottom of those whiting roosters, if you got any of those that don't have like the perfect tips on them or whatever, if you're tying like drunks or deceivers and it bothers you, just use those feathers for this. Be a good place to use them. Cool. Locked in right behind that bead. Simple, simple. Kind of part those hackles and pull that tail section right over the top, like so, and lock it in behind that bead. Cut So if you're tying on a small hook, at this point you could finish the head and whatnot up in the collars and the rubber legs and whatnot. If you're tying on a big hook like this, it's not a bad idea to take a little bit of that rabbit that you use and give that a wrap and a half to 2 wraps here to kind of build up onto this, right on that bead. If you're tying a big one like I am here, I don't tie them on a hook bigger than a 2/0. This is about as big as it gets. So I just got a full wrap in there and a half, and then just lock that in. So now your bead is completely covered. Alright. So what I usually do now is I'll throw the pec fins in. So you could use Marabou, Grizzly Marabou, you could use rooster hackle tips, you could use hen saddle, whatever you want. They're going to be hidden, so they may look a little goofy here to start, but once they get covered with all the other stuff, they won't look goofy at all. So, big old pec fin. I usually do 2 of them on each side in case they get ripped out, which tends to happen with this fly. It gets chewed on enough. Take these, eyeball that up. This here. And you see you got a lot of room, if you've done it right, to work with to build that monster head on this thing. Okay. So what I usually do at this point is I'll throw in a little bit more rabbit on a dubbing loop. If you're doing a dubbing loop, it's going to take you some time to finish this thing. If you're using the brushes, it's going to be really, really fast. So the only thing, what we need to get in there now is we need to get, I usually do a little bit of rabbit, and then I'll do the Mallard Flank, and then I'll do the rubber legs, and then I'll finish the whole rest of the head with rabbit. If you're going to do a lot of dubbing loop heads, a little trick is to use Magnum rabbit strips. So you're going to get more rabbit with each cut, so makes sense. And usually you get a little bit longer rabbit on the Magnums. So I'm going to go just a little bit, cut it off the hide. It's double the width of a standard strip, so you're getting double the amount of hair in every cut. Probably should have thrown the dubbing loop in there first, but I've done that many times, so I got that moved down. That like so. Take a little bit of wax. Where did my wax go? There it is. Bam. The dubbing loop stall out. Wax on. Lock that dude in. Here. Lock this in. The transfer. And you just kind of spread that out. You don't need a ton. Just kind of lock this in like so. Should have brought my cradle. Sorry guys. A little bump there, that's all you need. Alright. I'm going to take the biggest mallard flank I can find, something stiff. You could use that whiting Schlappen. Little mallard flank. Stiff feather, any stiff feather will work. Don't need much. Michigan guys usually use mallard. You know, when I was goofing around tying this fly, you know, like the hottest stuff going was a lot of the stuff that Feenstra was doing with the emulator Skulpin and all the crazy swing flies. So I'm gonna put in some rubber legs, world's greatest. The yellow gold blacks, my favorite of all time. Couple down the side, over here. Couple over on the other side. Alright. trim those later if you want, or you can trim them now. Whatever you want to do. Might do it both times, before and after. Okay, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to build a head on this thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of black or brown or whatever you have laying around. Put that little stripe in there. One behind the eye. And I'm going to cut it off. I'm going to go to the olive. One stripe. That's it. Little strip, one wrap. And then I'm going to switch over to the olive. Lock that in good. Don't screw it up. Take that olive and you're going to figure eight around the eyes. Up underneath. Over the top. Up and around. Wrap. Wrap. Tie it off. Alright. Now you got this big, bulky head. Looks nothing like the one you buy at the shop. It actually looks like a Skulpin. What a concept. We'll finish it with one more little loop. Again, if you had the brush, you just keep going with the brush. I'm just mixing it up here. Little wax. Alright. Pop that up in there, like so. Don't need much, I'm just finishing this up. Spinner. Cool. I kind of got that black olive black going. Trim that off. Don't knock your thread. And then you could do more flash if you wanted to put a couple strips of flash on there. It's up to you. The finishing move on this is the accent feathers. Grizzly feathers. And you're going to lay them along the top. One there. Locked in. One here. And trim. Cool. A little UV resin, and you are pretty much done. So you got a wide profile Skulpin, not a skinny minnow. So that is the way that the S3 is tied.